Hi everyone, welcome to my next video. Today I'm going to talk about someone who I mentioned in a previous video, and that was a mystic and a writer in the early 1900s by the name of Neville Goddard. And when I read some of his writings, gosh, even 10 years ago for the first time, it meant so much to me because the way he writes was the way I've always thought. And it has always been difficult for me to find similar people who believe the same way. And it was such an incredible relief for me to read about him and what he believed in that I would like to do this video today. And what better backdrop for a video is where I am. And wait till you see this. It's absolutely stunning, the views I'm going to show you. So I'm going to flip this around and turn around and take you on my hike. It's not all that sunny today, but you can't be too choosy with Maine weather. Maybe the clouds will pass by. Maybe they won't. And it has been very windy, so I hope the wind doesn't interfere with this video. Now, before I forget, if I aim the camera directly into the ocean, you might see some seals because the seals are usually out here. But seeing as how it's low tide, it may be difficult to see them. So who was Neville Goddard? Goddard. He was apparently a mystic. Oh my gosh, this is really flooded. Well, I'm going to walk through it anyway. He was a mystic and a writer, and apparently quite popular in the early 1900s for his beliefs. Now, I'm not going to talk about his religious beliefs because I tend to have my own, but here's what captivated me about his philosophy and his understanding of our world, and that is that our imagination can create our reality, and our imagination is limitless. Now, gosh, there's so much to say, I don't even know where to start. Ever since I was little, I knew that there were possibilities for me, regardless of not knowing how I would achieve them. I knew I could. Yet my life was tormented by low self-esteem due to my really horrendous younger years, which I wrote about in I See the Elephant. But it wasn't until later, when I broke free from that low self-esteem, that I realized that spark, that I call it a light of a candle inside me, that we all have, is our reality and what we can create in our future. Now, here's how I always thought, and this is going to sound maybe kind of strange, but to me it isn't. Whenever I wanted to do something, isn't this beautiful? Whenever I wanted to do something, and I'm going to use this as an analogy, it's the best way I can explain it. It's like when you throw a ball far ahead of you, you know that ball is far ahead of you, but then all you need to do is catch up to it. Well, that's how I always thought about things I wanted to do. If I had an idea, something I was very passionate about, something that in my imagination it already existed, I would throw that idea out into my future and hold it there. Because all I knew, well, what I knew for sure, was that in time, my passion, my desire for that outcome, and my dedication to that outcome would bring me to that ball in the field or my goal. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, please ask me questions, because this is the way I've always lived. Now, try to explain it to somebody. I was met with, oh my gosh, all kinds of strange looks and "you're crazy, Barbara," "how could that happen?" But it does. It happens every day. When you ignore fear, when you ignore the naysayers, when you ignore negativity, you pull yourself to whatever goal you have. And when you hold on to that goal, no matter how long it takes, no matter what you have to do to achieve that, it has to happen. Because what you're doing is you're creating that possibility and you're bringing it into your life by that energy. And I'm probably not still explaining it right, but I've lived this way all my life, and this is what Neville Goddard talks about. Now, he also emphasizes the importance of believing in that goal. And I'm not going to get too close, but this is stunning. When you believe that you can achieve something, no matter how impossible it seems, even if you have no idea how you're going to be able to do it, even if you're surrounded by people that maybe laugh or taunt you or insist that you cannot possibly do that goal or achieve that goal, if you never allow yourself to get caught up into that negativity, you will achieve your goal. How do I know? I've lived my life this way. No matter all the negativity around me, I have hung on to that belief. Now, Neville Goddard talks about the importance of belief, but I think it's more than that. I think it's a knowing. I think it's a knowing that you have this ability. And I think what holds some people back, and I'm going to duck under this fence to show you this. I think what holds some people back is doubt. And doubt is so often caused by other people. And doubt, in my meager opinion, is negative energy. And negative energy is going to hold you back. Now, I believe that this is what life is all about. It's who we are. We are energy. We are thoughts. And Neville Goddard actually says thoughts are things. Because if you can create a scenario in your mind, you're already halfway there. You don't need to know how you're going to get there, because the how will happen when you start your journey to get there. Does that make sense? Now, how many times have you ever told someone about something you want to do? And I'm going to gamble and say most of the time they say, well, how are you going to do that? And I believe that's because we have been taught that we need to know how before we even try. And I so disagree with that. Isn't that beautiful? Because the how will evolve from your efforts to pursue that goal that you have. For example, when I was 20, I was in a horrible relationship, and I wrote about it in my book, and I decided I was going to get to California. Well, I lived in Gloucester, Massachusetts, and I only had $98. How was I going to do that? I didn't know how. I just knew I was going to. And no, I'm not recommending this to anyone, to just jump in your car and drive cross country. but I'm using it as an example. I got into my car with my $98, knowing I would get there, knowing I would start my new life, knowing I would find a job and start anew and get out of this negative, hostile, abusive environment that I was in. Well, something happened along the way that was utterly amazing to help me get there. It was something completely unplanned, completely unexpected. It was a man that helped me financially to get the rest of the way when I was completely out of money. Was that a coincidence? I don't think so. I think things happen to help us when we put our heart and soul into something. Now, I know there's a book called The Secret out there, and I don't really believe in these heavily marketed money-making books because it's the same concept. And the title alone is so misleading because it's not a secret. And of course everybody bought the book because they thought it was. It's not a secret. It's the power of thought. It's the power of intention. And it's beautiful. And that's why I wanted to show you this view, because I wanted to show you a beautiful view while I'm talking about a beautiful concept. How cool is that? And look at the sun came out. And the wind died. Oh my gosh. That's amazing. So, maybe sometimes if there's something that you really want to do, don't tell anyone about it. Because if you already know that you have judgmental people in your life, don't give them that power to be negative. Just hold true to what it is that you have in your heart and soul to do, and follow that. Now, just the other day I did a video about how my channel has just grown immensely. Oh my gosh. He has decided to go swimming. And because my channel is doing so incredibly well, and I'm having, oh my gosh, it's so fulfilling to me. I can't even describe how fulfilling it is to hear all of your thoughts and comments and do my videos. Because my channel is doing so well, I have realized that it's possible to achieve a lifelong dream that I've always had since a little girl, and that is to have an animal sanctuary. And since I'm already retired and I collect Social Security and I have a small pension and I live off grid and I don't need anything, I have everything I need, I'm saving all of the revenue that's coming in for a land purchase for my animal sanctuary. Now, did I ever imagine that I would have a YouTube channel that would succeed? No. But I believe that because I'm following my sincere efforts to be helpful, to be authentic, to be sincere, and to share beautiful things in my life, more beautiful things are happening. And I think, no, I don't think, I know it. The more positive you are, the more positive you attract. And it works the other way too. Negative people seem to enjoy the company of other negative people. And maybe that's because there's a comfort level to knowing that there's no threat, because they can all be miserable together. And I've certainly met people like that, and I exclude them from my life. I used to have to deal with them when I was working, because sometimes you have a job where you just can't escape all that. And I think I'll sit right here. Sheppy, come here. But Now that I'm retired and I'm free to live my life the way I do, there are so many possibilities ahead. And even though I'll be 70 at the end of this year, I have so much to look forward to. And even if it takes me 5 years to save enough money to buy that land, that's okay. Because I know it exists somewhere already. I just haven't found it yet. And I'm not worried because I know it's going to happen. And it's going to happen by my willingness to be authentic, to be real, and to try to be as helpful and inspiring as I possibly can by writing my books, by doing my videos, and I think an ATV is coming. So I need to turn this off. Thank you so much, everyone, and feel free to ask me questions. Take care.